Official good morning to everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy Saturday morning to join us in our first webinar. We indeed hope that we can share some insightful information, new information, have a discussion about a topic that has been affecting persons for decades and decades, and it is self-esteem. As most of you know, my name is Christine Roberts, and I am the owner and operator of Chrissy's Care, a child care facility that caters to children with special needs. And because a child has special needs, we don't believe that it means that they're limited, that they cannot do anything. We believe in giving them as much experience and opportunities to not just exist in the world, but to be a part of the world in which they live. And throughout this whole pandemic and now war, things going on around us, we at Chrissy's Care, we're trying to find activities to engage the youth. Most of the times in public, we are seeing people saying the negative things about youth, but I wanted to highlight some of the positive things that the youth was doing. So in 2020 and 2021, I hosted essay competitions, virtual talent shows, recipe competitions, a number of things to engage the youth in Barbados. And in doing that, I was on Morning Barbados on a few occasions where we would have showcased our activities that we were doing, whether the essay competition, talent competition. And Dr. Chelston Brathwaite reached out to us, and he is just full of so much knowledge and experience that he wanted us to work together, collaborate, and see how we can help persons. The pandemic also showcased a lot of issues that persons were having, but they wouldn't be highlighted. Persons were not made aware of it because you would have been either, especially some children who were not coping well in school, the parents would only more recognize it when they were at home online, and the parents is like, wait, I didn't realize that my child was struggling so much. So in doing that, we realized a lot of areas like goal setting, self-esteem, essay writing, public speaking, a lot of areas that children and people need support in, and we want to provide this support. So we started our first webinar, and it is on self-esteem. So thank you again for joining in this. So in self-esteem, we often overlook the importance and the impact it have to have a good self-esteem, a good self-image, a view of one's self, and in turn, how you can view other people. So we at Chrissy's Care, we wanted to help you with this area. Our speaker, Dr. Chelston Brathwaite, will share with you more information, but feel free to ask questions. And we want a discussion because we want persons to feel comfortable. We're working on self-esteem, so be confident and to ask questions. There's no stupid question, but I prefer you to ask as many questions as you need to so we can understand what we're doing. So we have an outline. We're going to first look at what is self-esteem. What are the main characteristics of low self-esteem? Because in order for us to discuss it, we have to know how to recognize it. Are we able to recognize it in ourselves? Are we able to recognize it in the children, our children, or anyone we interact with? Because then it helps us to tailor how we react with people, realizing that it's not that the person is a particular way, but it's that they probably are too shy or they just don't know how to do it. So we want to be able to recognize these characteristics. And then how do we move from a stage of having low self-esteem to high self-esteem? And this is a good time to make a point. Low self-esteem is bad, but sometimes you can have too much or too high self-esteem, and that's what we would refer to here in the Caribbean as cocky or overconfident. So how do we strike a balance? How do we get this done? And then when we do have this level of self-esteem, how are we going to live a life that's full of purpose, a life fulfilling not only what we believe we are supposed to do, but what God intended for us to do, what makes us happy. A lot of people going around in work, in the world, and they're not happy doing what they're doing. So how do we find this so we can have a purpose-driven life? These are some of the things we're going to discuss in today's webinar. But I'm now going to turn you over to our featured speaker, Dr. Chelston Brathwaite. So I'm just going to give you a short bio about Dr. Brathwaite. Dr. Chelston Brathwaite is fluent in English and Spanish and is recognized for his administrative, technical, and institutional leadership in international agricultural development, having worked in Barbados, United States of America, in Italy, Kenya, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Costa Rica, Mexico, and China. In November 2003, the government of Barbados awarded Dr. Brathwaite the Companion of Honor. It is the second highest honor available to Barbadians for his outstanding contribution to agricultural development nationally, regionally, and internationally. In 2013, he was selected as Barbados's second resident ambassador to the People's Republic of China, and he took up residence in Beijing. From February 2014 to December 2017. Dr. Brathwaite has over 50 years experience working in the agricultural training, agricultural development, and food security as an administrator, researcher, lecturer, and technical advisor. He is a team player who achieves success by building consensus. His satisfaction comes from a job well done, on time, and under budget. He is able to motivate others to excellence and to get the job done despite obstacles. He thrives on challenges and tough assignments and believes that work should be fulfilling and rewarding. So I'm now going to turn over to Dr. Chelston Brathwaite. Thank you for coming on.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we are.
Good morning to all, and let me begin by thanking Christine Roberts for this kind invitation to participate this morning in this seminar with the youth and with all those who will be hearing my voice. Christine, I wish to begin by congratulating you for your efforts to help the youth of Barbados and to make a contribution in an area where there is scope and for great need. There is great need for a helping hand, especially for those who are less privileged in our society. And I would like to thank you for the work that you have been doing. And I'm particularly pleased to have been invited to participate in the first webinar of your initiatives. This is indeed a privilege for me. And I wish to let you know that my wife, Rosanna, is also participating. Rosanna, you have a chance to say good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone.
Right, thank you. This opportunity is unique in that I do not always have an opportunity to speak to youth and to persons who are not in the agricultural field or in my field of development. But over the years, my 50 years of experience, I have accumulated a considerable amount of information and knowledge, which I think could be helpful to the youth of the nation in helping them to improve their self-esteem. In a real sense, I think I'm well qualified to do so because I have 5 children. And during their lives, I have had the responsibility, along with my wife, of helping them to develop their own self-esteem and to play their role in the society as responsible citizens. In that regard, what I speak about today is based on my own experience And I would really like this to be a discussion because I would also like to hear from you. I would also like to hear your opinions about the topic that we're going to discuss today, as it is a central topic for all of us as we live our lives and seek to live productive lives. So without further ado, let us delve right into the topic. Christina, are we ready?
Yes, we are.
So then the question is, what is self-esteem? There are indeed a lot of definitions around about what self-esteem is, but I wish to give you a simple definition today. We can discuss it further, but basically, self-esteem is your opinion of yourself. That's what it is. It is your opinion of yourself. How do you evaluate yourself? What do you think about yourself is what self-esteem is all about. There's some people who get up in the morning and look into the mirror and say to themselves, I am beautiful. I am intelligent. I am blessed. I am a success in life. There are others who get up in the morning and look in the mirror and say to themselves, I am poor. I am ugly. I'm not intelligent. I'm a failure. I am handicapped. The first set of persons can be considered to have high self-esteem, and the second set can be considered to have low self-esteem. In that mirror in the morning, you should see a unique, special person that God has created for a purpose. There you should see a person of high self-worth and a person on a journey to achieve their full potential. You should see a person with goals and a plan to achieve their life purpose. While it's important to have plans for your life, it is also important to live one day at a time. Don't be consumed by all the negative news in the world. The war in Russia and Ukraine, COVID. Instead, you must get up in the morning and tell yourself, today will be a great day. Do not start your day complaining about what you do not have. Start your day by appreciating what you do have and being grateful. One of the most important things that you do have is that you have life. Do not take your life for granted. For many who were here yesterday are no longer here today. So let us begin the day by celebrating life, thanking God for giving us another day on this remarkable spinning planet, which we call Earth, and seeking to develop our full potential. When we start the day with thanks, when we start the day with a sense of gratitude, then many of the day-to-day problems cease to be problems and become opportunities. Opportunities for growth, opportunities to overcome the challenges of life, opportunities to triumph because you are energized to succeed, to see the positive, and to realize that there are many things you can solve and there are others which you can't. This positive mental attitude is an important part of self-esteem. A positive mental attitude begins with valuing and appreciating what you have. The most important asset which you have is you, and you are worth millions. You are special. You're unique. You're one of a kind. There is no other person in the world like you. This sense of self-worth is what self-esteem is all about. Saying to yourself all the time, I am special. I am one of a kind. I am an important person placed on this earth for a reason. I remember the story of a poor lady who had two sons, and she was in poverty. And one day, one of the sons said to her, "Mommy, are we poor?" And the mother said, "No, George, you both are worth millions to me." And then George said to his mother, "And Mommy, why don't you sell David and let us get some money?" And the lady said, "You both are worth millions to me." The sense of value that the mother portrayed is what self-worth is all about. She demonstrated and indicated that her children are worth millions to her. And we should be worth millions to ourselves. You must know that you are worth millions. And this is where you must value yourself. When I was teaching once, I said to a group of students, if you get depressed and you get worried and you're worried about your self-worth and your own happiness, take a chair one day, put it in the middle of a cemetery and sit on it for an hour in peace and quiet and reflect on what you have in a cemetery. A large number of people who have gone to the great beyond. They have gone to the great beyond with unfulfilled dreams. Some of them went to the great beyond with promises that they made that were not fulfilled. Some of them gone to the great beyond unhappy. Some have gone to the great beyond before their time, and they wish they had more. And so as you reflect on life, reflect on the fact that you are fortunate to be here, fortunate to have life, and fortunate to have the opportunity to achieve your full potential. So let us begin today a journey to a better you, a journey to success, a journey to achieve your potential. Let us now go to the second part of our discussion today. Why do people have low self-esteem? What it is that causes a person to feel less than important, less than fulfilled, less than successful. Low self-esteem begins with feelings of low self-worth. And low self-worth is normally expressed in a simple expression: no, I can't. I can't pass the exam. I can't succeed in life. I can't be a better person. I can't become a good student. I can't become a good citizen. I can't, I can't, I can't. This negative concept of self-worth, this feeling of impotence, this feeling of not being energized to achieve is normally derived from the opinion of others about yourself. Many of us grow up in families where we do not get the positive reinforcement that we need to develop our self-esteem. You might have been told by friends, by peers, or even by parents that you're a failure. You might have been told by friends, colleagues, and peers that you're not beautiful, that you're not living up to the expectations, that George, John, and Jane are better than you. Look how they have done well. That you will be a no good or you'll be a failure in life. These negative words seep into the subconscious and generates negative feelings, which results in negative outcomes, negative approaches to life, a sense of impotence to achieve. But in spite of all this, in spite of all that you have heard, you can turn your life around. Other people have done it. Other people who have lived in the worst of circumstances have been great successes. Why? Because they've been able to change their life around. How do you change from low self-esteem to an acceptable level of self-esteem? Not the extreme of being arrogant and feeling you know everything. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about having self-confidence to achieve. And there are a couple of steps that are critical to moving from low self-esteem to a better level of self-esteem. The first thing, you have to stop worrying about what happened in the past. And you also have to start worrying about what will happen in the future. You have to consider where you are now, today. It's important to learn from the past. It is important to plan for the future, but do not live in the past or in the future. Live in the present. Trust yourself to solve problems. Number two, trust yourself to solve problems. If you have difficulties, ask for help. Stay away from negative people and those who do not believe in you. There's a word which was used in a seminar some time ago of a person who is a sneer. Don't be a sneer. You say, what is a sneer? A sneer is a person who is susceptible to the negative influences of other people. Don't listen to negative people. Run away from them, stay away from them. Believe in your values and your goals and defend them even in the state of opposition. I remember many times in the past, I've had to interview people for jobs. And one of the questions I usually raise with them is, okay, I've seen your curriculum vitae, I've seen your characteristics, etc. But where are you going? Where would you like to be in 5 years? Where would you like to be in 10 years? What are your goals? And having defined your goals, do you think you have the tools today to achieve your goals? And if you do not have the tools, do you intend to get the tools? And how do you intend to get the help that you need to achieve your goals? It is developing this positive approach. It's developing this idea that, yes, I can. With the help of others, with a focus, intention, and plans, yes, I can, is the concept of it for the fundamental base for improving your self-esteem. Yes, I can. So you have moved from the state of I can't to I can. And that transition is so very important. In living a life of purpose, therefore, we must begin to define goals, achievable goals, goals that are special to you because you have had a chance to evaluate your own characteristics. You have developed a sense of what appeals to you. What is it that you enjoy doing? What is it that brings satisfaction in your life? What is it that other persons have seen in you and have pointed out to you that you're killed? Because we do not always see all our characteristics, but there are other people who see us and they're able to say, yes, you have a special characteristic in this particular area. You can sing, you can dance, you can paint, you're good with your hands, you are capable of expressing yourself clearly. You can write. Knowing all of these characteristics allows you to define where would you like to go with your life. What are the things that will make you that person that God has created so beautifully, and allows you to develop what is called healthy self-esteem. Avoid dwelling on the past. Believe you're equal to anyone else, no better, no worse. Express your needs and ask for help when you need it. Feel confident. Have a positive outlook on life. Say no when you want to, and use your overall strengths to achieve your goals. I think, Christine, that is an excellent opportunity for us to begin to discuss this topic, to get other opinions, and to share with the audience today a short video that I have prepared on the topic, which I think will help to clarify some of the points that I have made. It is important to remember in all this that you are special. You are a special person with special characteristics made for a special purpose. And because of that, there is no one who should be able to flood you with negative thoughts about yourself. With that, I would like to stop at this stage and allow the video to play. Thank you very much, Christine, for the opportunity.
You are most welcome, Chelston. And before I start the video, I just wanted to say that you did mention a few and very important and vital parts where self-esteem is concerned. For me, the takeaway is, but does the group know what is self-esteem? Can anyone say in their own words what they believe is self-esteem? Feel free to unmute and give your, there's no wrong answer. We are just sharing and learning from each other. Everyone is too shy.
Okay, I will go. I would say I would describe self-esteem as one's overall subjective sense of personal worth and value. This may be defined as how one appreciates and like herself or himself, regardless of the circumstances. This is my, what I believe on self-esteem. And this could be defined, of course, in many different ways, like self-confidence, feeling of security, identity, sense of belonging, feeling of competence, all that, will be, I would say, under the umbrella of self-esteem.
Yes, I agree with that. We could also say that self-esteem, as Rosanna mentioned, is confidence in one's own worth, confidence in how I feel about me as an individual, confidence in how you feel about you as an individual.
Yeah, and then we have a question about how does this affect a child's behavior? But before I address the question, it is, for me, in my personal experience as a teacher, it starts from home. It starts from babies, in terms of you have a child who is taking that first step, and are you a parent who will be like, no, you follow, I don't want you to get cut? Or are you a parent you say, you could do this, I realize the children that have that sort of support system foundation, they come with a more willingness. They don't have the fear of failure. And a major thing affecting the youth in our society is the fear of failure. Entrepreneurship. I'm starting a business and people are, you sure you want to go and do that? You might not. I'm saying it's okay. And also to have that foundation, because I know if my business does not be successful or it doesn't work, I know that it's going to be okay. I know that I can turn to my mom. I know that I have a circle of people around me who can support me. So we need to have this strong foundation and this circle of people around these children, around the communities, around the family home, although we have the structures are changing, to provide this foundation that, you know what, we're not just going to beat you down every time you do something that is wrong or that we don't like. But in society, that's all you're hearing, all the negative things about you. We want to have this foundation that the children know that should I not be good in this, I can still, it doesn't mean I'm a failure. I am still worth it. I am a person. I still have purpose. There's still meaning to my life. Not everybody's going to be academically inclined, but what is your talent? If you're not good at the academics, then let's find the skill that you can excel at. And these are some of the things we need to get rid of the negativity and support the children in these areas. So back to the question where, how does it affect? And feel free at Chelston or anyone else to give your input at this time. How does it affect a child's behavior when the child comes from a home where they feel that they can't speak or they're afraid to do things? Then they bring this into the school system, they bring it into society, they bring it into the world, and then we have people acting out and we don't even know that these are things that would have been stemmed from early childhood.
One of the things,
go ahead.
One of the things, Christine, that has affected children in many homes in Barbados, I know for a fact, is that there are a lot of parents, I don't know if today, but in the past generation, who felt that children should be seen and not heard. This was a general concept in many families. You must be seen and not heard. If there's a discussion in the home, keep quiet. Know your place. Go outside and play, but do not participate. Those messages create negative images in the minds of the child in terms of how they should behave in public, because they get the impression in the home, you can't do it in the home, therefore you must not do it in public. And as a result of this, a lot of children don't speak up. They do not express their opinion. They do not express their ideas, and therefore they do not get feedback or positive feedback that can help them to chart the course forward. So the idea that children should be seen and not heard is something that should be removed completely from the whole process of raising children. It's about time we recognize that children also have ideas, they have opinions, and we should listen to them.
I want to add to that also, because what you said, Chelston, is something that I noticed about Caribbean people on the whole. We lived in Latin America for many years, and in Chelston's position as Director General of an international organization, he was the head of every discussion that took place in his organization. And he would have board meetings and all this cabinet meetings and you know, it goes on and on. So he will have, he would have had participants from all over Latin America and Europe. And when it came to the time for the Caribbean people to speak, they hardly said anything. And anytime discussions were going on, the Caribbean people were the ones to be so quiet, and the Latin people and the European people got all the attention. And especially when it came to money and budgets and everything, they were at an advantage because they spoke up, they presented their argument, and they were going down with battling with, you know, why they should get it. And the Caribbean people just stood back. They sat and they listened, they smiled, and that was it. And I used to observe these things, and I said, my gosh, why is it? Why is it? So having listened to you, Chelston, what you just said, I think Caribbean people are suffering from this I would say maybe phobia. And it has passed on to their children. I think now with social media, with many things, I don't know if it is opening up, if it is a little different now, but I know I could have seen the line drawn clearly during those days. And I'm talking about 15 years ago. No? Okay, thank you. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I did hear the statement, children should be seen and not heard. And that's one of the things that I definitely do not agree with. I believe that there are different forms of communication. We believe that you can only communicate by writing or speaking, but you can communicate by a number of ways. People take for granted sometimes eye contact, your gestures, all of these things are communication. You can have a nonverbal child who can be an effective communicator because they can use gestures and different ways to show you their wants and desires. So having a child not being able to say something does not mean that they don't have opinion, they don't have a feeling about it. We just need to listen more. The key thing for this is how they do it. You need to teach the children to be respectful. You can say, okay, mommy, I don't want to have Mobby today. I feel like I could drink some water. And the mother, it's okay to say no. There's another thing. Some parents are afraid to tell the children, no, you can say no. It's okay to say no. It doesn't mean that you love them any less, but you need to understand and speak to the children, have conversations with them. I don't want you to have Mobby right now because you're going to bed and the sugar is going to make you not be able to sleep. Communicate with the child, have a discussion, explain. Some children are getting lashes and they don't even understand why they're getting these lashes. And they're going to do the same thing over and over and they're constantly getting lashes and it doesn't make sense. So
It is, I would say, sorry, Christy, I didn't mean to butt in, but sorry, I would say this is is a big problem we have. It is old schooling. It is.
Yeah.
And this is why it is so important now to equip parents with the correct way of parenting. And what you are doing is, it's really a blessing because it really should be duplicated across the board so that parents will understand. I'm not saying all of them are like that, but most parents will understand that, the way how the long ago way of parenting is not the correct way. We should be more open. I could say that perhaps I was guilty of some of what you are talking about too, because of my upbringing. So we just keep passing it on. But with education now, parents should understand now that, times have changed. Children have to move into the new into the future. And the way to go is by correct communication that will help build self-esteem.
Yes, and it's okay to ask for help. I find that sometimes parents are struggling and you don't know, especially when it comes to the special needs community. You have a child and they tell you, oh, your child is born and the child has Down syndrome or the child is autistic. And the parent's like, what does this mean? The poor parent doesn't know, doesn't understand. Where's the support system? Where is the group to say, okay, this is what autism is? A parent now has to go and research. And if it's a case now the parent themselves confused, how do you know how to help a child when you don't even know what the word autism means?
Correct.
What does it? So then we need to be able or okay to ask for help. And we have a society where if you ask for help, sometimes people look down on you. So you have to get past that. That's the importance of self-esteem, because I prefer to ask 100 questions and get an answer so I know what I have to do than to say nothing and I am there like, oh dear. And you feel like you're an idiot because now you're doing things that don't make sense. And then you're digging a deeper and a deeper hole. So we need to have these infrastructures in place, even from a governmental level where, okay, we having these persons, you got diabetes. You here have to make a lifestyle change, but what does that mean? What do I need to do? We need to have more support groups and systems throughout. Overseas, you have support groups for everything, but in our Caribbean culture, we're not open to that. So we need to kind of open ourselves more and be willing to ask for help and take help when help is given to you. Yes, Chelston, I haven't forgotten you. I have your video. But it was an interesting topic, and I just wanted to add there's few points before we get into the video. Any other questions or comments from the group? I take it that that is a no. So I shall line up the video now. Oh, there's a question saying what, pardon me? Someone who's speaking? What are the signs? I'm not sure what signs of low self-esteem. You want to clarify the question a bit?
I think that's a very good question. Well, as you said, there's no bad or good questions, but that's a very important question that is being asked. What are the signs of low or even too high self-esteem? I don't know if Sheldon, perhaps. Oh, okay. Sheldon, I thought she might have want to answer that one. Okay, go ahead, Christy. Sorry.
Chelston, you feel free to answer. I'm not sure Sheldon is getting some difficulty from Mike.
Yeah,
it wasn't on at first.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, the principal characteristic of persons with low self-esteem is recognizing that they always say, I can't. You give them something to say, I can't. There is something coming up and they don't have confidence, they say, I can't. And poor performance is the reflection of that low self-esteem. So a conversation with the child is fundamental to understanding. Once you detect these symptoms, a conversation is important. And what is lacking in many families is that conversation with the child in trying to find out exactly why it is that they are not succeeding. What is it that is worrying them? What are the challenges that they're facing, which we may not know, because children face challenges that the parents are not even aware of. They may be bullied by a person in school, and they have not communicated that with the parent. Or they may be fearful of failure in school, or they may have a shortcoming, a deficiency. Maybe they can't see the board well, or maybe they're not hearing well. The conversations are all part of what is necessary to unearth these deficiencies and therefore to take corrective measures.
I just wanted to add here, like, for example, we have like students in a classroom and teacher asks the student to read, and the child may not be able to read, or the child is afraid to read in public. And there's some situations where the child is forced, you have to read because everybody has to read. And the child is just shy or unable to do it. Sometimes shyness is also a sign of low self-esteem, because the child is not going to be willing and eager. Not everybody's going to be like, me teacher. So that is also a sign of it. Then you also have to see the ones that are masked, are being covered. You will have a child, and every time you tell the child to go and do something, the child can find give the most trouble just to get out of that. Is not, sometimes we look and we treat this what we see, but you have to think deeper, especially as teachers, to see why is the child doing this. I notice every time I calls little John, every time I tell him to read, he's got some excuse. He has to go to the bathroom, or he can lick over somebody pencil or something, and I end up putting him in timeout or so, and then he always gets away from doing it. Those are the ones that are masked, those ones that kind of flow through the system, and nobody never recognized that they could never read. And I was at first, I teach, and I'm like, how it is you get in class 4 or you get to secondary school and you can't read basic sentences or understand it. But then you notice these are the children that are floating through the system because they're either going to be really bad behaved or they're going to be the very quiet ones. The quiet ones, the teacher's not going to necessarily be like, oh, she don't give trouble, so she's the best child there because she just do what she got to do, even if she get all wrong. She doesn't give trouble, so she can float through. Then you have the ones that give so much trouble, the teachers, that you always outside the class, you always in the principal's office, and they never had the time to do the work. So then when they get to the age out of the system, so these are the ones we need to capture. These are the ones that really need our support. And these are some of the signs that are being missed. And it's only so much. I mean, a teacher trying to teach a class of 30, you're too glad for the 10 little one quiet ones there and the 4. So I'm not blaming them, but I'm just saying that we need to be a little bit more conscious. And when we see these things, have like a red flag or something going off in our head, so we know, okay, you know what, I gotta look into this child a little bit more. I realize he's doing this thing too much or like that, so that we don't have the situation of missing signs and these children growing up with this thing going on all their life, and then we go out in the world of work and then these the worst employees ever.
Correct. I agree with you, Christy. Another thing about low self-esteem also, which is something that parents and teachers have to understand and try to help as much as possible, is that low self-esteem leads to people preying on children, because children are mainly at their lowest when it comes to self-esteem. But by the time they reach what you call teenage, it starts to improve a little bit, and then of course adults, it goes a little higher. But children have the lowest self-esteem, and that's when adults take advantage. Not just adults, teenagers, those who are older tend to take advantage of children because of low self-esteem. And we have to also, as parents and as adults, recognize that we should really try to help children go through with that phase in their lives.
Yeah. Another sign is the children that can't make a decision or don't know how to do things by themselves. Like
Sure.
you ask them to do something, it's like, they're waiting for you to tell them because they're afraid to do the wrong thing or make a mistake. And when you look, most times these children are the ones who get a lot of lashes, or the ones that get scolded a lot. Use idiot or something. You know, that's a simple thing. Those are those children whose self-esteem are the most like vulnerable, the most broken, because even if they try to do something, and like sometimes a child will try to do something, and I remember growing up trying to make breakfast and I doing the toast. The toast is the blackest thing. And it is how you as a parent react. Oh my gosh, Chris, you burn the toast again? Oh my gosh, you can't just do a simple toast? That will break a child. Compared to a parent who say, oh dear, thank you for trying. Thank you for doing breakfast. And then, or even take the opportunity to say, you know what? Let me do it together or show you. When you see it start to get brown, like, and once you do that, yes, you didn't really totally reject it, but you show the child how to improve it. And I remember my mom actually eating some of the stuff that I kind of burned a little bit, but she then teach me or she mold me. So sometimes the children need that support where you accept that they tried. It might not be the best, but don't beat them down or don't just take it. No, give them that opportunity and show them how to do it better. So that's another sign as well for those children with low self-esteem, to answer the question. Any other questions or any other comments? Nope. So I shall start the video again. Take 3. Okay. So this is a video that was prepared before. So we're just gonna discuss it. Start.
Good morning, everyone. Today's topic is about self-esteem. Self-esteem refers to your opinion of yourself, your worth, your value. It has to do with the feelings we experience when we focus on ourselves. Many decisions that we make are based on our sense of self-esteem. The understanding of self-esteem begins with a recognition that when God created you, He created an original. That means that you are not an ordinary person. You did not come off an assembly line. You were not mass-produced. You are one of a kind. Nobody in this world has your fingerprints, your character, or your history. You are unique. There have been many who have come, but there will never be another you. In order to reach your full potential in life, you must see yourself as unique, one of a kind, an original. Because you are an original, don't go around wishing that you were different. Don't go around wishing that you were taller, or that you were slimmer, or that you were more beautiful, or you had a different personality, or looked like someone else. When I was your age, I went to school. My teachers told my parents that I was a bright boy. And I did not understand what they meant until I discovered in high school that I was obtaining better grades than my friends. I continued to learn, and then I went to university. I also excelled academically to be at the top of my class. And in my career, after a series of steps, I became the head of an international organization. Only the second person in the history of Barbados to become the head of an international agency. Was it easy? No, but I achieved my dream, and so can you. Therefore, approve of yourself. You are not an accident. You were carefully made for special purpose. Part of your life journey will be discovering your life purpose. Therefore, step forward from the crowd. Look in the mirror. Tell yourself, I am an original. I was made by God for special purpose. I am talented. I am special. In order to maintain that positive self-image and high self-esteem, there are a number of things you must do. Associate yourself with people who have a positive outlook on life, who exude self-confidence and who are achievers. Stay away from negative ideas and negative people. Challenge bad or negative thoughts about yourself and replace them with positive thoughts. Write down a list of the 3 things you do well and place the list on your door, on your mirror. Eating well and exercise release stress and create a more relaxed you, stimulating a more positive attitude and a positive mood. Take time to do something that you find relaxing. It could be taking a warm bath, meditating, singing, dancing, or reading a good book. Set realistic goals and track your progress by writing down your accomplishments. Celebrate your accomplishments. Help someone with their challenges without expecting anything in return. Celebrate your accomplishments. Try new things using your creativity. Learn a new skill, a new dance, a new game, a new language, a new recipe, or make a new friend. Surround yourself with people who make you feel good. Strengthen your friendships and relationships by showing that you care. No one is perfect. Therefore, accept yourself as you are. And with all your imperfections, you are still an original. Capture memorable moments and take pictures and frame them of your memories. Give thanks for the opportunity to live in these times. Many others have come and gone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very, very much. That was a very good video. One of the things that I really found interesting was that I depart with your original. I recently saw this thing on social media where you can have two children in the same household and they can be totally different. And that is indeed very true. You can have a child who one is quiet and does everything by themselves, and then you can introverted, and then you can have a child who's so extroverted and just always want to be socializing, and then you might have one who might be a little defiant as well. They're each their own person, and you should not judge them for what the other is, even if they're twins. One may be good at math, one may be good at English. You can't compare them. Never compare your child, yourself, or anyone to anything else. You be your own benchmark. So if last week I couldn't write letter A and this week I could scribble it, I have made an improvement. But you can't say, but your sister do that since she was 2 years old. Don't ever compare your children. And it's easier said than done, but that was one of my biggest takeaways, that parents tend to judge or try to compare their students, their children.
Yes, Christine, the idea that we are all unique has been brought out by COVID. You have two people in the house, one has COVID, the other one doesn't get it. That is the psychological base of difference, but it's also the whole base of attitude and approaches to life. Even identical twins are different. And they're born at the same time, from the same parents, in the same circumstances. And when you analyze their lives, they are so different because of that unique characteristic that is built into our DNA, that we're all special, we're all different, and therefore we have to cater for these differences. And this is the challenge of teaching. You have a class, as you said, with 30 children, you're giving them all the same recipe, but they're all different.
Mhm.
And they behave differently and they understand life differently. So we have got to be able to cater. And that is why so many children fall through the cracks, because we don't cater for those differences. And this is one of the things the educational system has to consider.
Yes. And I recently started this thing called affirmations, and I find like doing the affirmations, especially in the morning, has been really impactful in the confidence of these students. I had a student learning to spell her name, and she was been doing this for years before she came and started doing some work with me. And we've been doing some affirmations, and I'll be like, okay, you can do this, you are this, and you're strong, and then she's there writing it, she's like, I am strong and I can do this, and you can just see like she really took that in, and she writing it wrong, but with confidence. And then after, like, she wrote like a whole page of trying to write her name, and at the last one she wrote it correctly. And you should always praise and celebrate small victories with your child. These are also ways you can help build self-esteem. Don't look at the 20 that she did wrong. Look at the one that she did right. And it also show you the determination that she went through that whole page, and she was going and going, and she's speaking to herself, I can do this, Auntie Christine, I can do this, I can spell my name, and she's doing it. And so even your child, just try to use these affirmations, give them the praise. Yes, you do something wrong, and they also teach you to use something called the sandwich technique. Something good or positive, then you can say something that you might need to work on, and then something good again. And also is how you say it, not necessarily what you say, is how you say it. So as a parent, be careful in terms of how you say things.
Agreed.
Correct. Correct. I could tell you something from my past, my experience. When I lived in Jamaica, I was afraid of public speaking. I was just afraid to get up and speak. And one thing about the Jamaicans, they encourage you. And they told me, yes, you can do it. Yes, you can do it. And I told myself, well, all right, if you have so much confidence in me, I have to have some confidence in myself. And with their encouragement, I took the plunge, I took the plunge, and I stood up. And when I was finished, it was really amazing how they congratulated me. And that alone kept me going, knowing that I did not get any criticism. So what you're saying, Christy, is so important, to give that encouragement and to the child. And I mean, I was an adult at that time, but it worked. It works. So it's not just children, even adults with low self-esteem can also benefit from that affirmation.
Yeah. And also give them opportunities. Like when I tell people that I was really shy and I could not speak, they don't like believe me. And my mom is like, you know what, you need to do something different. And I entered the school pageant when I was finishing school. And I was like, the most like, I didn't mind with the talent. I didn't mind wearing the dress. I was like, I had to go out there and say my name. I was like, my name is Christine. And I was like, my mom was like, you have to be able to speak yourself. You wanna have your own business. You want to do these things, and you can't speak to people. You have to be able to relate to people. Sometimes you have to know where your weaknesses are. So if you know your child's weakness or so, then how do you support them? How can I take this weakness and make it a strength? Or how can I develop it? It don't have to be perfect, but get it beyond where it is. And I enrolled in junior Toastmasters, and I do Toastmasters. And according to my mom, I haven't stopped speaking since. And
yes.
I like outside of this, you see me somewhere, I just be this quiet, like, okay, hey. When it comes to, if I have something to say or I'm passionate about something, I will definitely let you know. But you need to know what these weaknesses are and then provide opportunities for this. Opportunities for the at church, you can ask them to say a poem, ask them to sing a song. Obviously, you're still going to prepare them. Don't just send them out to the world and leave them, but you kind of guide them and you show them the way. Don't leave them. Let them, and always let them know that you're going to be there. I wanted to do swim sports and I could not swim. My mom was like, oh, you want to join this swim sports thing? And you can't swim. So I can do the walk race. And my mom was like, I saw my daughter in the pool with her eyes closed, just swimming. And I came to her and I was like, are you going to swim? I want to be a swimmer. And now I'm a swimming instructor. I just had, sometimes my mom was like, okay, if you believe you could do it, I can do it. And my mom was like, she can't swim, but she decided this shallow side that she could stand up, but she want be there so that should the child fail, because my mom was there. I tell you, if I was going down, my mom was going to yank me out of that water, and everybody was there. And I was like, I insist on doing this thing. And look, now I'm teaching people, special needs children, how to swim, just because I made a decision that I want to try something new. And for me personally, everything I wanted to try, my mom was like, oh, here she goes again. But she never said no. She was always there to support. Sometimes finances is a difficult thing, but sometimes I realize that when you just trust the process and things has happened for a reason, sometimes you realize that all the things line up for it to happen without you having to fight and push and try to tug. So sometimes just go with it and see where it takes you, see where it takes the child. If they like dancing, but they're really shy, maybe let them start doing dance and realize when they got dance on the stage, you realize that, wait, there's a whole different level of confidence that this child now has. So let's build the self-esteem up in ways, start with what they're passionate about, what they like to do, and then you can expand that to the areas that which there might be a low weaker or need more support, but you always have to be supporting them. And also show the child that you two are not perfect, and that like mommy couldn't cook before, it's only after when mommy was watching different cooking shows, mommy learned how to make a good pie. Let them know that you two learning, you two trying, and how you are trying to get past these hurdles, and they're gonna try and you try, and everybody growing together, so the child doesn't feel that they're alone or in the world.
Correct. That is so true.
Any other questions or comments?
Christine, okay.
Go ahead.
So Christine, so
Yes.
lately, Jalen,
Mhm.
very hyperactive and everything. So going back to school was very hard for us to send him back to school. So, you know how Jalen, he's very good. He can spell, he knows, but his thing is focusing and keeping quiet. So this is like 3 or 4 weeks they've been back out to school. And the first couple of weeks was very hard for him. So the teachers this week showed me that Jalen took his scissors and started cutting up his books and his textbooks and everything, because I guess he was bored, being a child that is he's not sociable and he likes to be by himself. I guess he was bored and everything like that. So he started going to a psychologist. He was recommended by the ministry to go to see a psychologist, which started to help him. But what we have done with him is that, like you said, you encourage him, because like Javen would head up his books all about the place, use them to write sentences and everything that has nothing to do with work. So for the last 2 weeks, what I've been doing with him is that I've been encouraging him to sit down and head his books up the way it should be. I would sing a song like for him to write on the line, because he would write and then he'd go down a hill, keep going off the space and everything like that. So sometimes I use a song and stuff like that. So he's being very good at that, since that we've been encouraging him. And as you say, you encourage your child, because what we've done is that when he does good, we applaud him. We speak positive things like, I know you can do it. And I picked him up yesterday from school, and before I could even say anything to him, he was like, I got 10 out of 10 out of spelling. And he had up his book properly now. He takes his time, so every morning it's like, we reiterate to him, his dad and I, okay, so you're going to school, you're going to focus. You have to listen to the teacher. You're going to sit down, you're going to take your time, you're going to write, you're going to form your letters properly. And I found that in the last 2 weeks, he's been doing it because he's proud of himself. So before we could say anything, he's like, you did it. And he's clapping, you did it, I did it, I did it. And he's like, yes, you did. High five, high five. So what you all are saying is correct. It's like you have to motivate them. When they do bad, you let them know they're doing, because if he does something wrong, I just don't punish him. I let him know why you're being punished for this. And if he does good, vice versa. So I just wanted to say that, yes, encouraging your kids goes a long way, because I think in the 7 years, from the 4 year when he went to school at 4 till now, I've seen a great improvement in Javen. And it's like motivating them. I sometimes it's like both his dad and I, we come home, we're so tired. But my thing is that, as I'm tired, I know I'm tired, but I have 2 children, because my daughter's 20, she's special needs. And if they need help from me, I have to forget me being so tired and so frustrated with work, that I have time to shake that off and then focus on them. So it's been a trial, but in the end, it's also being victorious to see him at this level, at this time.
Wow, congratulations. That's really good. And one little thing I will add too is, of course, remember to reward him at the end of it all, when he gets his 10 out of 10, and maybe at the end of the day or the end of the week, just reward him. So this is all part of building the self-esteem. But I think that's an excellent, way that you have made intervention that you have made.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited and proud. And I just want to use your example for a minute. We all had to go through a big change where COVID is concerned. And I think like we all looking at, oh, this is what happened to me. But nobody took the time to see how it was affecting the children and the youth. Then now you switch again. You have to prep the children, because you were hearing the ministry talking about, oh, school's gonna open back, this and that, and all along you were hearing this, and you were kind of mentally getting prepared. So, oh my gosh, I gotta get uniforms because they already wrote these uniforms. We're gonna boo this. You already was doing that, but then did people take time to do that for the child? Okay, Javen, we're going to start back school soon. And when you start back school, you have to wake up earlier. You remember your uniform? You're going to have to wear a uniform. When you go to school, you can't be like how you're at home, laying on your table and listening to teacher on your computer. You're going to have to be in class. It's not prep the child. That's another thing. And then breaking the stuff down into smaller, achievable tasks, so that you don't feel like you want me to do all these things. Whereas start with one thing. You start with him sitting at a table. That was really good. So him focus, that's another thing. So he can say, okay, I need to sit, I need to focus, I need to write on the line, I need to focus, form my letters correctly. So each time he can try to do a thing, as he is accomplishing them, you can then add on in terms of what next thing to do. So you still need like a little structure and of how to go about it. Yeah, and when he's doing something like how you cut up the books, then you can discuss that with him. But Javen, why you cut out the books like that? Because sometimes we just think the children do like a lot of nonsense, but they actually sometimes have their own reasoning for it. We might not agree with the reasoning, or we might not like it, but they have it. And sometimes we just go on and on, but never ask the child why. So just think about things like that and try to put yourself in the child's perspective. A lot of children enjoyed having online school. Yes, there are people that I prefer in person, but there were some children that really thrived in having online school. So we need now to see how can we support those ones that actually did well in that setting, and then support the ones that needed the actual in-person classroom. And I think that's the next step, where we would need to see how we can have integrating the technology a bit more into some of these school system and to help the students. But I'm really glad. I know Javen from time he was like a baby to now, so I'm glad to see him getting settled and doing better in terms of at school and coping. Any other questions or comments?
I think the online environment has brought to the fore the fact that the children need socialization, and that you cannot educate a child just by the child sitting in front of a computer. And so we've got to find ways of getting back to that socialization. A lot of what the child learns in school is not from the computer or the textbook. It is from the interaction with their peers. And so we've got to make the school, again, a friendly environment. I was reading recently about this lady, Avis Carrington, who established, she's 103 years old, and she established the Maryvale School because she wanted to create a school where there was a happy environment for children. That was her goal in life. And I think that we have to do more of that and find a way to create an environment that is happy for the child. It is not just the strap and the discipline. It is also creating an environment of happiness.
Yes, and those and we take for granted that the lessons and things that we learn through play. I remember we playing, and like I watch the children nowadays. One person wants to play with blocks, the other one wants to play with dollies. But she wants her to play with her the dollies, but the other one wants to play with the blocks. Oh, you got nobody to play with me. And we know in our day, we're gonna, okay, we gonna play with the blocks now, are we gonna, and then we do dollies after. We can have like a problem solving, back and forth dialogue. Even if you're trying to convince the other child to play what you want to play, at least you have that communication or problem solving skills. And then you decide, you know what, we can make the dollies, play with the blocks or something. Like, how can we work together? These students really missing out on these skills. And that you don't always have to come up with the idea. Somebody else can come up with the game that we're going to play. And then I have to wait till it's my turn. All of these are very important skills that we would have missed. And we now need to get back, teach these children these things again. Or you imagine those ones who started school, they didn't have that opportunity to at least have those first beginning stages. So that's my fear where the online component was.
Yeah, I agree with you. Very important.
Any questions, Ms. Holder and Williams? I'm not sure Sheldon is able to speak. I see her mic come up now. But it was indeed a great, an informative session. I hope that we was able to clarify some things for the persons who had concerns about the self-esteem and knowing. Yes, I thank you for coming. We understand you have to go. Thank you very much for being here. We hope that you was helpful, and feel free to always reach out to Chrissy's Care if you have any other ideas or sessions that you would like us to present to you. Feel free to contact me and I will try to put it together and find somebody who's knowledgeable in the area more than I am, because I can bring it from a teacher or special needs perspective, whereas you can find it from different views. Yes, Williams, I'm giving you opportunity to speak now.
Thanks for letting me in on this. I must say that it was very informative, and also that it put me in the perspective to approach things differently. You know, sometimes when you have the task of dealing with your children and what they have to do, you tend to do things your way, the way that you think is right, but having an opinion from someone else, like, all right, it's better to approach it this way. Even in terms of like, when they talk to the children, as you say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I tend to, because they're so annoyed or upset at the things they're doing, especially the middle one, because they have triggers, I would tend to, be aggressive, and you would realize after, but sometimes the damage is already done. So I would try very hard to approach dealing with them and things they would have to say and stuff in a different way. Because sometimes it is that they don't come and say, well, mommy, will you just say annoy me or upset me or hurt me? They would be like an introvert where it's concerns, and then you see each other in a different world, face set up, and then you're trying to, what happened? Tell me.
Nothing.
And they don't say anything. So, you're going to try to avoid that, but sometimes it'd be so overwhelming. And then you think that you are the only person that going through the experience with each other. And when you go and speak to other parents and so forth, you get to hear how much you do this. And then you, seriously, why thought I the only body that they're going through this? And so I really appreciate this, and I would definitely be doing things a lot different. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. I just wanted to add, you're also human, and you also have feelings and frustrations, and you got work and different things going on, and you're not going to always get it right. And it is, as you say, even if you realize it after the fact, you can go and have a discussion about it. Sometimes when we are in our feelings and emotions, you guys do, okay, you know what, before I go and knock off her head, let me count to 10. I might go count to 10 but 3 or 4 times, but take the time, or say, before I go and address this, you don't wait too late for the behind the issue or what is done, but you might need to step back a minute and say, okay, let me see. All right, okay, all right, and then go where you kind of have a different frame of thought, or so that you don't come with as much aggression. There are some things that you would need to put your foot down at that time. I'm not saying not, but you would gauge it, and then you would know about it as well. And then, as you say, reading the facial expressions. I know these teenagers especially, they can put in their headphones and they want to hear you for the rest of the evening until them get out their feelings. Then they're going to come back, oh yeah, all lovey-dovey again. But also take in consideration that teenagers going through a lot of hormonal and changes going on with their body. They don't understand it. You ain't understanding it. You want them to do this. They're just feeling tired. And everybody in an emotional state. So try to think about that as well when, especially dealing with teenagers.
Well, just that you said about the different children being different. I myself, based on comparison, because my first daughter, that was a breeze. I ain't have work as hard with her as I have to work with the second one. The second one is a task. So I, just as you had indicated, I did some comparison. It is that I had to do this with her. It is that so yes, all those things I need to curb, but
with time. Yes, with time. Yes. Any other questions, comments? Okay, we basically wrap up now. We were on from 10 o'clock, and it was really good to have you guys for our very, very first webinar. We really want to give you more. If you have any topics or anything, as I said, feel free to reach out and we can see how we can make it possible. And always ask a question. I am always more than willing to help and give advice where needed be. And if I don't know, I have a team that I can always call on. And I just want to say again, thank you, Dr. Chelston Brathwaite, for your input and giving us these words and helping us to think things through differently.
You're very welcome. I would just like to say that there are two other topics that we had discussed, and I think they should be considered, which is how to deal with the fear of failure, which is a really important issue to discuss, and also public speaking, how to encourage persons to speak in public. There are, as you know, in a lot of children, a mortal fear about speaking in public. And this is something that we should address. My wife, Rosanna, gave her experience of this as an adult. And this is very interesting information, but I think we also have to deal with the children. How do you get them to develop that self-confidence to speak in public? So these are two subjects that I would suggest. And of course, you can run it by your parents and get their reaction. But I'm indeed pleased to have been here. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And I also enjoyed the session this morning.
Thank you, everyone. So stay tuned and listen out for the other things that we will be looking to present to help you make parenting, growing up, going through changes, dealing with special needs children a little bit more easier. Until then, we will see you.
Thank you. Have a good day to all.
Bye.
Everybody.